Security to floor 3. We have a situation in the designer section. The words crackled through Victoria Chase's radio, her perfectly manicured finger pressing the button with practiced authority. As manager of Elegance Beverly Hills, the most exclusive fashion boutique in Los Angeles, Victoria prided herself on knowing which customers belonged and which were just looking. The woman browsing the fall collection definitely fell into the latter category. Noor Malik moved through the racks of designer clothing with the careful reverence of someone who understood fabric, construction, and artistry. Her hijab was simple, a flowing charcoal silk that complemented her modest ankle-length dress. No visible jewelry, no designer handbag broadcasting wealth, just quiet elegance that Victoria had already dismissed as trying too hard. Have you ever been followed around a store like you were a criminal just for existing while different? Ma'am, security guard Marcus Johnson positioned himself 3 feet behind Noor, his presence deliberately intimidating. Can I help you find something? The question wasn't an offer of assistance, it was a warning. Noor turned, her dark eyes meeting Marcus's gaze calmly. I'm browsing, thank you. Browsing, Victoria interjected, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor as she approached. These pieces start at $15,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in our accessible collection on the first floor. The euphemism was clear. Accessible meant affordable, meant cheap, meant you don't belong here. I'm comfortable where I am, Noor replied softly, returning her attention to a burgundy evening gown. The craftsmanship was exquisite. Hand-stitched beading, Italian silk, a design that spoke of months of work by skilled artisans. Victoria's smile never reached her eyes. That particular piece is $32,000 plus tax. I see the price tag. Do you understand what that means? $32,000. That's more than some people make in a year. A well-dressed couple nearby slowed their browsing, sensing drama. Noor lifted the gown from the rack, examining the interior lining with the focused attention of someone who knew what they were looking at. The construction was flawless. French seams, hand-finished hems, structural boning that would create a perfect silhouette. Ma'am, Marcus moved closer, his hand hovering near his belt. Store policy requires that we monitor high-value merchandise closely. I'm going to need you to put that back. I'd like to try it on, Noor said simply. Victoria laughed, a sharp, dismissive sound. Our fitting rooms are reserved for serious buyers. I don't think I am a serious buyer. Really? And how exactly do you plan to pay for a $32,000 gown? The question hung in the air like an accusation. But here's what Victoria Chase didn't know yet. Noor reached into her simple cloth bag, not a designer purse, just a practical tote, and withdrew a black American Express Centurion card, the exclusive black card that required an invitation to obtain and had no spending limit. Victoria's expression flickered with uncertainty. Those cards were rare, requiring annual spending in the millions just to qualify. That could be stolen, Victoria said quickly, though doubt had entered her voice. Would you like to verify it? Noor asked calmly. Victoria snatched the card, examining it closely. The name read Noor Malik. The card was legitimate, not a forgery, but Victoria had spent 20 years in luxury retail, and she knew her clientele. Women in hijabs did not carry Centurion cards. There had to be an explanation. Marcus, call the credit company. Verify this card immediately. Is that really necessary? The well-dressed woman nearby asked, her uncomfort obvious. She's just trying to shop. Ma'am, please don't interfere. We have protocols for suspected fraud. Suspected fraud? Noor repeated. Based on what evidence? Based on experience, high-value credit cards are frequently stolen. We are protecting our inventory and our legitimate customers. The implication was clear. Noor wasn't a legitimate customer. Marcus stepped away to make the call, speaking in hushed tones. Other shoppers were openly watching now. Some recorded on their phones. A teenage girl had started a TikTok live stream. "Y'all, they're harassing this Muslim woman at Elegance. This is insane."
Viewer count 234, 589, 1,247. "While we wait," Victoria said, her voice dripping with false concern, "perhaps you could explain where someone like you would get a Centurion card?" "Someone like me?" Noor's voice remained steady, but something steely entered her expression. "You know what I mean. You're dressed very simply. No offense, but you don't present as our typical high-net-worth client. How do your high-net-worth clients typically present?" Noor asked. Victoria gestured vaguely. "Designer accessories, recognizable luxury brands, the markers of wealth." "So wealth is only legitimate if it's performed loudly?" "I didn't say that. You implied it." Noor's voice was quiet but cut through Victoria's protests. "You decided I couldn't afford to shop here based on my hijab and my choice not to display brand names. You called security to intimidate me. You're treating a paying customer like a criminal because I don't look like your mental image of wealth." The teenager's livestream viewer count hit 5,000. Comments flooded in. "This is straight-up discrimination. Someone please tell me this store is getting sued. That manager is so fired. Muslim women can't have money?" Marcus returned, his expression uncomfortable. "The card is valid. Full authorization, no flags." Victoria's face went through several emotional stages: surprise, confusion, anger, and finally calculation. "Well, that's good. So you can try on the gown if you'd like." "Can I? 2 minutes ago, I was suspected of fraud. Now suddenly I'm welcome?" "There was a misunderstanding. There was discrimination," Noor corrected. "Let me ask you something, Miss Chase." She gestured to a white woman across the floor, carrying multiple designer bags, trying on jewelry without any security presence. "That customer is handling items worth $50,000. Where's her security escort?" Victoria stammered. "That's Mrs. Ashworth. She's a regular client." "I'm sure she is. But in the 15 minutes I've been here, how many other customers have you followed or questioned? Just me, the Muslim woman?" "You won't believe what happened in the next 60 seconds. Victoria's radio crackled. "Victoria, this is Gerald from corporate. We need you to call the executive office immediately. It's urgent." Victoria frowned, pressing her radio. "Gerald, I'm handling a situation now, Victoria. The CEO is asking for you specifically." "CEO?" Victoria felt cold dread settling in her stomach. The CEO of Elegance Luxury Group never contacted store managers directly. Never. "Excuse me," she said to Noor, trying to maintain composure. "I need to take this call." "Take your time," Noor replied, that same calm expression on her face. "I'll keep browsing, unless you plan to call security again." Victoria retreated to her office, her hands shaking as she dialed corporate. "Victoria Chase, Elegance Beverly Hills. This is Amanda Sterling, Chief Operating Officer. I'm sitting with CEO Richard Morrison. You're on speaker." Victoria's blood turned to ice. "Miss Sterling, Mr. Morrison, how can I help you?" "We've received notification that there's an incident at your store involving a customer named Noor Malik. Is this accurate?" "There was a small misunderstanding, but it's been resolved." "Has it?" A new voice, male, cold, and absolutely furious. "Because I'm watching a TikTok live stream with 15,000 viewers showing my store manager accusing a customer of credit card fraud based solely on her appearance." 15,000 viewers. Victoria felt her career evaporating in real time. "Sir, I was following protocols." "What protocols, Victoria?" The protocols that say hijabi women can't have money? The protocols that say we racially profile customers? I didn't racially profile. You called security within 3 minutes of her entering your department. You questioned her ability to pay. You demanded credit verification without any actual suspicious activity. You treated her like a criminal, all while white customers shopped freely. Victoria had no response.
Do you know who Noor Malik is, Victoria? No, sir. That's the problem. You never asked, you just assumed. Richard Morrison's voice carried the weight of professional fury. Noor Malik is the founder and creative director of Noor Couture. She's one of the most successful fashion designers in the world, and 3 weeks ago, she acquired 42% ownership of Elegance Luxury Group. The words hit Victoria like a physical blow. She owns what? She's your boss, Victoria. She's my boss. She's the majority shareholder of the company you work for, and you just harassed her on camera in front of 15,000 people. Victoria felt the room spinning. This couldn't be happening. This couldn't be real. The customer you profiled designs the clothes you sell, Richard continued. The woman you called security on could fire every person in your store with one phone call. The black card you questioned? It's connected to a personal fortune estimated at $400 million. $400 million? Sir, I didn't know. Of course you didn't know, because you judged her by her hijab instead of treating her like every other human being who walks into your store. You saw Muslim woman and assumed poverty, fraud, illegitimacy. You never imagined she could be wealthy, successful, powerful. The truly shocking part was still coming. Victoria, I'm terminating your employment effective immediately. Security will escort you out of the building. Your personal belongings will be shipped to you. You're banned from all Elegance properties. Please, Victoria begged, tears starting. Please, I have a mortgage, a family. So do the customers you discriminate against. Families who deserve to shop without harassment. The difference is they face what you did to Ms. Malik everywhere they go. You'll face consequences once. The call ended. Victoria sat in stunned silence for 30 seconds before security, Marcus, ironically, knocked on her office door. Miss Chase, I've been instructed to escort you out. Marcus, you were there. You saw. I saw you order me to intimidate a customer based on her appearance. I should have refused. I should have spoken up. I didn't. I'll live with that. But you orchestrated the whole thing. As Victoria was escorted through her own store, past shocked employees, past recording customers, past Noor Malik, who watched with that same calm expression, the teenager's live stream hit 25,000 viewers. The comments were brutal. She got fired on camera. The woman she harassed owns the company. This is the best karma ever. Muslim fashion designer owns the store that discriminated against her? But Noor Malik wasn't done yet. 1 hour later, Noor stood before the assembled staff of Elegance Beverly Hills. 23 employees, all looking terrified. They'd just watched their manager fired in real time. They knew they were next. My name is Noor Malik. Some of you may know my work. Most of you clearly don't know who I am personally. That ends today. She clicked a remote. A presentation appeared on the screen, showing Noor's fashion empire, Noor Couture, a billion-dollar global brand. Fashion Week shows in Paris, Milan, New York, celebrity clients, magazine covers, awards from every prestigious fashion institution. I started designing clothes in my parents' garage 20 years ago. I faced rejection from every fashion house in America. Too Muslim, too modest, not European enough, wrong aesthetic. They told me hijabi women couldn't be fashion designers. She paused. So I built my own company. And last month, that company acquired controlling interest in Elegance Luxury Group. I now have decision-making power over 187 boutiques across North America. The staff members exchanged nervous glances. Today, I came to this store for a reason. Not to shop, I designed my own clothes. I came to test something. To see if the discrimination I faced my entire career still existed in the luxury retail space I now control.
She gestured to the teenager who'd live-streamed everything, now standing at the back. "Maya, please come forward." The girl approached hesitantly, phone still recording. Maya has been documenting what happens when Muslim women try to shop in luxury stores. Her videos show pattern after pattern of discrimination. I hired her to document what happened here today, and you all saw the results.
Noor turned to Marcus. "Mr. Johnson, you were ordered to intimidate me. What were your options?" Marcus swallowed hard. I could have refused the order, ma'am." "You could have. Why didn't you?" "Because I would have been fired for insubordination." "Exactly." Noor's voice softened. "You were put in an impossible position by a manager who created a culture of discrimination. I'm not firing you. I'm requiring you and every security professional in our company to complete new training on implicit bias and appropriate customer interaction." She turned to the sales associates. "How many of you have witnessed discriminatory behavior in this store before today?" Slowly, hesitantly, 18 of 23 hands rose. "How many reported it?" Every hand lowered. "Why not?" Noor asked. A young woman spoke up. "Because Victoria would have retaliated, because corporate didn't care, because it was easier to stay silent." "That culture ends today," Noor said firmly. "Effective immediately, Elegance is implementing the Dignity in Retail initiative. Zero tolerance for discrimination, mandatory training for all staff, anonymous reporting systems that bypass store management and go directly to corporate HR." She clicked to the next slide, showing comprehensive policy reforms. "Additionally, I'm establishing the Maya Rodriguez Fellowship, named after this young woman who documented injustice, which will fund undercover documentation of discrimination in retail spaces. When we find it, we fix it." Maya gasped. "A fellowship? Named after me? You did what I couldn't. You captured the truth. You made it impossible to deny or hide. That courage deserves recognition." The presentation continued. Diversity metrics, accountability measures, customer bill of rights, consequence protocols. "Some of you are wondering if you'll lose your jobs," Noor said. "The answer is no, unless you continue discriminatory practices after today. Everyone here gets retraining, a fresh start, and a chance to be part of something better." She paused. "But understand this, I will be watching, not just this store, but all 187 of our locations, through mystery shoppers, through documentation, through metrics. If you discriminate, you're gone. Not because I'm vindictive, but because customers deserve better." One brave employee raised her hand. "Ms. Malik, why come here yourself? Why not just send corporate to audit us?" Noor smiled slightly. "Because I needed to see it myself, to confirm that my experiences weren't unique or exaggerated. And now I have proof, 15,000 witnesses worth of proof, that luxury retail has a serious problem." She clicked to the final slide. "Discrimination isn't an individual failing, it's a systemic disease. Today, we start the cure." 2 weeks later, the Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week tent was packed with fashion industry elite. Editors from Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, celebrities in the front row, buyers from every major department store. But Noor's show this season carried special significance. She'd titled it Invisible Wealth, a collection inspired by her experience at Elegance. As models walked the runway in stunning designs that blended modest fashion with haute couture luxury, Noor's voice played over the speakers. "Society teaches us that wealth must be performed, displayed, branded, that legitimacy requires logos, but the most profound elegance is often the quietest." The designs were breathtaking. Silk hijabs paired with evening gowns, modest cuts that didn't sacrifice sophistication, fabrics that whispered luxury without screaming labels. Today's collection is inspired by every woman who's been judged by her appearance, every customer who's been followed by security, every person who's been told they don't belong in spaces they can afford. The finale featured a recreation of the burgundy gown from Elegance, the $32,000 piece Noor had been forbidden to try on.
Except this version, designed by Noor herself, was even more spectacular. As the final model walked, the screens behind the runway displayed the viral TikTok video. Noor being harassed, Victoria being fired, the entire incident preserved for the world to see. The fashion industry gasped. Some looked ashamed, others looked thoughtful. All understood the message. Discrimination has consequences, even in fashion, especially in fashion. The show ended to a standing ovation that lasted 7 minutes. Anna Wexler, editor of American Vogue, found Noor backstage.
"That was powerful," Anna said, "and deeply uncomfortable," which I suspect was the point. "The fashion industry prides itself on being progressive," Noor replied, removing her show headset, "but it's built on exclusion. Who's beautiful enough, thin enough, white enough, wealthy presenting enough? Today I asked, what if we judged designs instead of designers' appearance?" "Your acquisition of elegance sent shockwaves through retail," Anna said. 4 other luxury groups have announced diversity initiatives in the past 2 weeks. You forced the industry to confront its prejudices. Good, though they shouldn't need force. They should need conscience. Anna hesitated. "Can I ask, why did you go to that store yourself? You could have sent mystery shoppers." "Because," Noor said, "I needed to know if success insulates you from discrimination, if wealth changes how you're treated. And I learned it doesn't, at least not immediately. That manager saw my hijab before she saw anything else." "So what changes it?" "Power," Noor said simply. "Not just wealth, but power. I don't own elegance just to make money. I own it to change who controls the spaces that excluded me." 6 months later, Elegance's diversity initiative became an industry case study. Discrimination complaints dropped 82% across all stores. Customer satisfaction among Muslim, Jewish, Sikh, and other religious shoppers increased 91%. Revenue increased 34%. Turns out, inclusion is profitable. The Maya Rodriguez Fellowship funded documentation of discrimination at 17 other retailers, leading to policy changes across the industry. Most meaningfully, Muslim women started entering luxury stores without fear. The cultural shift was subtle, but real. Victoria Chase struggled to find employment. Her firing went viral with 12 million views. Retail manager harasses fashion designer who owns the company became a cautionary tale taught in business schools. She eventually found work at a discount retailer, far from luxury fashion. The humiliation was profound and permanent. Marcus Johnson completed bias training and became an advocate for reforming security practices in retail. "I was a tool of discrimination. I followed orders that were wrong. Never again." The teenager, Maya Rodriguez, turned her documentation work into a full-time career. Her YouTube channel, Retail Justice, had 2.3 million subscribers, all watching her document and expose discrimination in real time. 1 year later, Noor stood outside the renovated Elegance Beverly Hills for the grand reopening. The store had been completely reimagined. Diverse mannequins, inclusive sizing, designs from Muslim, Jewish, Black, Asian, and Latino designers. The new manager, Fatima Hassan, was a hijabi woman who'd spent 15 years being told she didn't fit luxury retail's image. Now she ran the flagship store. "How does it feel?" Noor asked her. "Like justice," Fatima replied. "Every Muslim girl who walks in here will see me and know she belongs." The store opened to a line of customers that wrapped around the block. Muslim women, Jewish women, Sikh women, women of every background who'd been excluded from luxury retail, finally feeling welcome. Inside, the burgundy gown, the one Noor had been forbidden to touch, was displayed prominently. A plaque beneath it read, "This gown sparked a revolution. One woman's dignity defeated an industry's discrimination. May every customer be judged by their character, not their appearance." Noor watched customers browse freely, security present but not intimidating, staff treating everyone with respect, regardless of how wealthy they appeared. A young hijabi girl, maybe 10 years old, approached hesitantly. "Excuse me, "Are you Noor Malik, the designer?" "I am," Noor said warmly. "My mom says you're why we can shop here now, that before they didn't let Muslim families in." "That's not entirely accurate," Noor corrected gently. "They let us in, they just made us feel unwelcome. There's a difference. Now we're working to make everyone feel valued." The girl smiled. "When I grow up, I want to be a fashion designer like you." "Then you will be," Noor said, "and you won't have to fight as hard as I did. That's the point of what we did here, making it easier for the next generation." As the girl ran off to find her mother, Noor felt the weight of her grandfather's words from 20 years ago. Success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about the doors you open for others. She'd opened doors, changed systems, transformed an industry, all because she refused to accept that hijabi women didn't belong in luxury retail. All because she turned exclusion into ownership. All because one woman's dignity was worth more than an entire company's prejudice. The elegance incident became a watershed moment in retail. 34 major retailers implemented similar discrimination prevention programs. Fashion industry trade groups adopted mandatory diversity training. 3 states passed legislation requiring anti-discrimination protocols in luxury retail. Muslim fashion designers received $47 million in new investment funding. The phrase "shopping while Muslim" entered mainstream discourse about retail discrimination. Most importantly, the culture shifted, slowly, incrementally, but really. Muslim women shared their shopping experiences online. When discrimination occurred, it was documented, exposed, challenged. Companies learned that discrimination carried real costs: financial, reputational, legal. Noor's fashion empire grew to $1.2 billion. She acquired stakes in 3 more luxury retailers, implementing dignity in retail at each one. Her influence reshaped how the industry viewed Muslim consumers and creators. Victoria Chase's firing remained the most watched retail discrimination video in history. Business schools used it to teach the costs of implicit bias. Retail management courses made it required viewing. The lesson was clear: prejudice is expensive, inclusion is profitable, and you never know when the person you're discriminating against controls your future. 5 years later, Noor stood on the TED stage in Vancouver, addressing 1,800 people and millions streaming online. 5 years ago, I walked into a luxury store I secretly owned. The manager didn't recognize me. She saw a hijabi woman and assumed poverty, fraud, illegitimacy. She called security. She questioned my credit. She humiliated me. The audience listened in rapt attention. I could have revealed my identity immediately, could have gotten her fired in private, but I didn't. I let the discrimination play out on camera, documented by 15,000 witnesses, because I needed the world to see what Muslim women face every day. She clicked to show statistics. 67% of hijabi women report retail discrimination. 49% avoid luxury stores entirely. 73% have been followed by security. This isn't individual prejudice, it's systemic. Today, that's changing, not because hearts magically opened, but because discrimination became too costly. When companies learned that Muslim consumers represent $2 trillion in global spending power, suddenly inclusion made business sense. Noor smiled slightly. I wish we didn't need economic arguments for basic human dignity. But if capitalism forces change that morality didn't, I'll take it. The talk ended with the burgundy gown image, the piece that started everything. This $32,000 gown taught the fashion industry a $32 million lesson. Never judge a customer by her hijab. She might own your company. The audience erupted in applause. The video would get 47 million views. The lesson would reshape retail, and the young hijabi girls watching would grow up in a world slightly better than the one Noor inherited. Not perfect, not equal, but better. And better, Noor believed, was worth fighting for. Have you faced discrimination while shopping? Been followed by security? Questioned about your ability to pay? Treated as suspicious because of your appearance? Share your story in the comments. Document it. Make it impossible to ignore. Every testimony creates pressure for change. Every video forces accountability. Subscribe for more stories of people who turned discrimination into systemic reform, who used power for justice, who proved that dignity isn't negotiable. Because the best response to "you don't belong here" is buying the place and making sure everyone belongs.